Hi guys, today we're going to be looking at the Strix Alatus. We're going to do a quick build video to show you some of the features and how easy it is to put together. So we're going to be installing a FrSky X4R, the Strix OCHI cam with the Cricket V2 200 milliwatt video transmitter, and the Menace antenna. So let's get started. Hopefully the first thing you'll notice in the package is the quick start guide. It has a lot of useful information on it. It has some assembly instructions, the recommended battery, which is a 4S 1800 pack. It talks about the control surface travel, the center of gravity, how to launch it, and the optional winglets. Perhaps the most important part of the entire quick start guide is the section that talks about control surface travel. That is extremely important, and if you do not follow the guidelines, then your plane will not fly right. So looking in the box, we have 4 smaller boxes. First we have the canopy. Set that aside. Nice piece of protective foam. And we have the main fuselage body. So looking closer at this, you'll see that the whole thing is made of plastic. We have carbon fiber plate. On the P&P version, your ESC and motor will already be installed. There is a rubber pad to help hold the battery in place. So we'll set that aside. We also have a 6x4 prop that is included with the P&P version. Going further in the package here, each wing is packaged individually, and that's done so that once you already have your plane, if you crash, you can buy each individual wing by itself later. So the wings come with servo installed with the linkage already set. The wings are EPO, but it is our specially developed, we call it HD EPO. It is extremely durable and very stiff and rigid. It flies great. In the bottom of the box, we have 2 decal sheets, one for the right wing, one for the left wing. So we'll set these aside and do the decals here in a minute. So as I said when we opened them, these are HD EPO wings. They are extremely stiff and high density. They don't have hardly any flex, and they have hollow cavities. It's a 2-piece wing that comes pre-glued together from the factory. You can see the bottom part of the 2-piece wing here, and inside there's a lot of hollow cavities, and we did this to reduce weight and give it some internal structure and strength. Another important thing to note is the CG indentations on the bottom side of the wings. There's one on each wing. So this is our main spar. There's only one. Each wing is actually internally sparred along the leading edge and the trailing edge. So this is the canopy for the Alatus. It attaches to the main body with 4 magnets, and it closes very securely. Just slides together like that with no tools. Looking closer at the canopy, you can see that it has a cutout for our Cricket video transmitter. The antenna will actually come right out of this hole here, and we'll show you how to do that later. On the underside, it has 2 screws pre-installed for your flight camera, your FPV cam, and then it has a flat spot on top for a GoPro or Run Cam or other HD action camera. So let's show you how to put this whole thing together. Start off by taking either wing and threading the servo wire through the bottommost hole on the center pod. Slide the wing in, making sure to not pinch the servo cable. Take your spar, your square spar, thread it through the center body into the wing. Push it in all the way until it stops. Then just take your other wing and slide it on. There should be some friction, but it should slide on pretty well. So make sure again that you feed your servo wire through the back so that it won't be pinched when you completely push the wings together. All that's left to do now, just take your canopy and drop it on. When the canopy is on, the wings are locked and cannot be removed. The whole idea behind this was so that if you're racing and you crash, you don't have to spend a whole long time replacing wings. To complete our build, we need to install the receiver, and we need to install the video transmitter and the flight cam. So let's start with the X4R. I'm going to attach this to the carbon fiber plate right here, and I'm going to stick it on with some standard 3M double-sided tape, but I suppose you could use a zip tie or whatever you have handy. I'm just going to cut off a very small piece. Put it on the receiver, and I'm just going to put it right here in the middle of that carbon fiber plate. That shelf was put there specifically for this purpose. Next, I'm just going to take the 3 servo plugs. We have the throttle and the 2 servos. The way that my radio is set up, I have the throttle on channel 3, so I'll plug the ESC into channel 3. I have the left wing servo plugged into channel 2, and the right wing plugged into channel 1. To keep our antenna wires from getting chopped off by the prop, I like to take them and tuck them back underneath the carbon fiber plate, running back towards the front of the airplane. I run them along the side of the ESC, and so they stay out of trouble. Alright, so we're going to take this and set it aside, and we're going to work on installing the video transmitter and the camera into the canopy. So the Cricket will mount right onto these 2 screws. You will need to purchase or find 2 M3 screws to mount the Cricket. They are not included with the kit, but to mount your camera, the 2 screws are included. Let's install the video transmitter first. I am not going to use the included rubber duck antenna, but I will use the included wire harness. So this is just a standard ready-made Cricket 200, and you'll see that it installs like this so that you can read the screen and access the button from the top. So we do recommend that you also purchase a right angle SMA connector, and it's best to install that before you install the Cricket. So once installed properly, it should look like that. And the SMA connector should be just sticking out from the top of the canopy. For this install, we are going to use the included U-bracket with this camera itself, and the included camera cable. First, we want to install the U-bracket itself, and we'll install it just like that. I find that it's easiest to start the screw in the bracket before you put it in the canopy. We're going to do the second one. When it's done, the bracket will look like that. Next, we need to install the camera. You need to make sure that you install it so that the text is up when the camera is installed. Slide the camera into place and then access the screw holes through the side of the canopy. Okay, when your camera is installed, it'll look like this. All we need to do is take our camera plug and plug it in the right orientation. We need to take our Cricket wire harness, unravel it a bit, Plug it into the Cricut. Leave the JST connector free. Plug in the camera connector through the servo connection here, making sure that you have it in the right orientation. You have yellow to yellow, brown to black really, and red to red. And just take your extra wire and bundle it up, run it through, and then push down to latch it. So for the JST plug, you'll notice that the ESC that comes with the plug and play version already has a short JST lead on it, so that when you put the canopy together, all you need to do is connect the two JST connectors together, and now your Cricut has power. So we'll just put this on. When you put it on, make sure that none of the wires stick out the side, so otherwise the canopy will not fully close. Make sure that you have a good seal all the way around, and then just screw your antenna on. When you're not giving any input to the radio, you want your control surfaces to be completely flat. You don't need any reflex. Then when you set your rates, you should mix in your radio so that the control surface, the elevon, only moves up about 7 millimeters from completely flat. When going down, ideally, you only want about 5 millimeters of down. If you go beyond this, it will not fly right. It'll be unstable and it will be unpredictable. Sure. The last thing we need to do is just install the prop. This does come with a lock nut. So we'll just open our prop here. It does come with a set of spacer rings, so the best way to determine which one to use is just slide each one over the motor shaft and pick the one that fits most tightly. In this case, it's this one, so I just break it off. Then we need to insert it into the back of the prop. And then put the propeller on with the text that says 6x4 facing towards the front of the airplane. And then put the nut back on. All of these wings have been checked at the factory to make sure that the motor is spinning in the right direction for this propeller. But if for some reason yours is spinning backwards, all you need to do is swap any two of these three wires on the ESC. So I said that we would come back to these optional winglets. These winglets were designed so that if you are racing in a league that requires your wing to be 40 inches, then we have provided cut lines on the ends of the wings. Right now, without cutting it, this has a 43-inch wingspan, which is compatible with most racing leagues. But if the league that you like to race in requires 40, simply cut the wings off at the provided cut lines and then glue on these winglets. You want them to be glued on in this orientation. Alright, the last step, which is completely optional, is to install the decals. I like to install the long gray ones first. These are intended to run along the leading edge of the wing like this. I will show you once I get it put on. Depending on how closely you install it to the edge of the wingtip here, you may need to trim off just a few millimeters of the edge of the gray decal here. These smaller decals were intended to be put on either side of these vertical stabilizers here. Thanks for joining us in this build video. I hope you enjoy the Alatus. This plane was designed for people that like to fly fast and may crash, because if you do, you can replace the wing quickly and easily without a lot of cost.